Hey everybody, another episode of Unbreakable Spirits. And today I really just wanted to hop on and thank Alicia Vitarelli from 6ABC Action News for her wonderful interview yesterday. I had a lot of fun talking to Alicia, meeting her, and I think she really did a great job putting the interview together. So I don't know how many of you saw it. I know the Phillies game was on. In fact, I was going back and forth between the Phillies, trying to catch the interview. So hopefully they replay it over the weekend. I know a lot of their interviews that they do during the week, they replay on the weekends, especially in the mornings. So if you happen to get a chance to catch it, that's great. Let me know what you think. Also, you can probably catch it at their website, 6abc.com, and probably catch it there. So I appreciate she mentioning my book, and she mentioned this podcast. And she's just a really cool lady, very nice, very sweet lady. So thank you, Alicia, if you're up to watching. Thanks a lot. Since we're on the theme of famous people, I thought this podcast would be kind of cool to talk about special people that I've met in my life. I've been really blessed to meet a few famous people in my time. And, it's always interesting when you meet famous people. You're just not sure if you're going to live up to your expectations. I mean, you only see them on TV or in the movies. You hear their voice on the singing records, and you think, wonder what they're going to be like. So in a way, you want to meet them, but in another way, you don't, because you don't want to, you don't want to be disappointed in them. You don't want them to turn out to be something that you have imagined in your mind that they would be like, or something different than what you see on TV. So, so I wanted to talk about just a few people that I've been lucky enough to meet in my life. And, really the first person I have to say, oh, there's Bud. Hey, Bud. By the way, Bud went for a checkup yesterday to the vet. He passed with flying colors. They did his blood work. He's doing good. He's probably going to be going in though in the next 6 weeks to get his teeth cleaned and a checkup there. If he needs any teeth extracted, they're going to do it. About a year or two ago, he had a similar thing done, and they found some cracked teeth and infected teeth. And he felt so much better once they took him out. And the first day or so from the anesthesia, he was a little woozy. But there he is. Hey, Bud. But but it's good. One thing I hate the most is having seen the animal suffer. He's an older guy. He's going to be 13 this year, so I want him to be comfortable. Quality of life. So he's probably going to be going into the vet in the next few weeks to get that done. So that's Bud. People that I've met. When I was a kid, I used to watch Bandstand on TV with Dick Clark, and they broadcast that at Philadelphia, and it was on in the afternoons every day, after school, 4:30 or something. And I used to probably like it. So I always loved music. And I don't know, for some reason I became a fan of Bobby Rydell. And he's a Philadelphia guy, and I just liked the music. And now this was pre-Beatles, and once the Beatles came out, and especially later in life, I really got to appreciate the Beatles music, and I love British invasion music a lot now. and 60s music as a whole. But prior to the Beatles, I liked Bobby Rydell. For a while there, in between Elvis and Buddy Holly, who I liked a lot, there was sort of a void there until the Brits came over, yeah. And so really all you got on the radio was guys like Bobby Rydell and Bobby Darin, who's great, great entertainer too, in my opinion. And Frankie Avalon, singers like that. And they're they were good entertainers, and I know Frankie Avalon is still out there, um, plugging away with the Golden Boys that Bobby Rydell used to be a part of anyway. So that's what it was, when I was growing up between like 1960 and 1963, prior to the Beatles, that's the kind of music you heard on the radio, So anyway, to make long story short, long podcast short, I like Bobby Rydell's music, and make a long story short, I got to meet him. My dad arranged it. He was playing down the old Steel Pier in Lake City one summer, and my dad knew that I was a fan of Bobby Rydell, and he arranged it with people down at the Steel Pier. And it was one summer, and I went down to meet him and just had a great time. The pictures are in my book, and a little bit about the meeting. And went down, and the parents got to meet him. And it was really cool. I got to sit on his lap, and we sang Valari together in his dressing room. That was his big signature song. And got to go to the show there, and then go back to the dressing room after the show. And he signed all kinds of stuff. And I'll never forget, he gave me his personal scrapbook that his mom was building for him. And the thing he gave it to me was very, for a kid, right? It was pretty cool. And then after that, a few months later, he wrote to me a personal letter, which I still have. And he mentioned he knows what it's like to meet an idol, because he said in the letter, I just recently met Frank Sinatra, who's my idol. Have you ever heard of him? Have you ever heard of him? Even for a kid 5 years old, Frank Sinatra. Yeah. I mean, come on, old blue eyes. So he was always cool. And I got to meet him a few times down through the years. And then when Bobby Rydell wrote his memoir, it was back in 2016 or so, I went to one of his book signings, and got to meet him. Now this is what because I was in line. There weren't that many people there. I was about third or fourth in line, down in there. And I never forget, this lady came in behind me. She's walking, and she said, who is this guy? I don't know this guy. Who is this? And I just looked at him and said, it's Bobby Rydell. You should know who he is. Anyway, so I got up to the table where he's sitting, and he said, oh, hi, how are you? And I said, something like, oh, we've met before or something. He said, we have? And I said, yeah. So I happened to have the picture of Bobby Rydell and I with me, the signed picture, and showed it to him. And he looked at it, and he just went, hey, oh God, how long ago was this? And I said, at the time, 55 years ago. So can you believe it? There I was, met him when I was a little kid, sitting on his lap, singing Valari in the dressing room. 55 years later, we meet again at a bookstore. Yeah. We have another picture of Tim, which is in the book. So that's how life is, one more thing about him. I remember when I was a kid, my mom had me to dress me all up on Sundays with butterscotch a jacket, a bow tie, and we used to just take me over to the convent where the nuns were having. And I used to sing for the nuns once in a while. My mom would take this little record player and stack of 45s and go sing for the nuns. I guess they were pretty hard up for entertainment back then. And I used to do my Bobby Rydell. In fact, you could say I invented karaoke. Me, right? I invented karaoke because there I was singing all of Bobby Rydell's hits and Elvis and stuff. And the nuns would line up. Well, they would sit like a semicircle around me, and the record player would be playing, and I'd be there. I don't think I was holding the microphone. I would be there singing, wild one, on TV, and I'm pointing at the nuns, and they're like, "Whoa!" I think they were thinking either he's really cute, or he's going to go to hell. Let's pray for him. I don't know. Anyway, so I did my shtick there, my Bobby Rydell shtick, and so that was Bobby Rydell when I was a kid. He just passed away not too long ago, and I was really sad to hear that because I know he had some health problems in the last few years, transplants, and but when he passed away, there were a lot of tributes, rightfully so, on local TV, and I just thought about him, and all the happiness he brought to me as a little kid. I mean, he didn't have to do it, he didn't have to do all that, but he did because he was a really nice guy. And so even though I wasn't able to go to the funeral and like that, I just I thought, and I just thanked him for making a little kid happy. About 15 years after that, I met another guy who was really a nice guy. Now, here's the thing. My mom used to love the Mike Douglas show. It used to be taped out in Philadelphia. And she would watch Mike Douglas every day. Now, he would come on around 12:30, I think, in the afternoon. I think for some time there, he was on around 4. But anyway, she used to try to watch it. And he always had a lot of good guests on, like a 90-minute show. He was like the daytime, the poor man's Johnny Post, the Kmart of talk show hosts. So Mike Douglas. So anyway, we snagged 2 tickets. She got, I don't know how she got them, but she got 2 tickets to go see Mike Douglas show in person. So we went, me and my mom. This was after my dad had passed away. My Uncle Henry and Aunt Sue, who we were really close to. And these tickets happened to be pretty much in the front row. So that was pretty cool. We had never been in a TV studio before. So that was all cool. That was just looking at the cameras and lights. Wow. And then Mike Douglas himself came out, superstar. By the way, did you notice about Mike Douglas? Mike Douglas trivia. What does Mike Douglas and William Shakespeare have in common? I'll read. Time's up. Mike Douglas and William Shakespeare both died on their birthdays. And apparently this is some sort of a cult, or I wouldn't call it a cult, but it's like a club or whatever, that not too many famous people die on their birthday. And you think about it, what are the chances? Like 1 in 364, 65 days, right? So, yeah, so Mike Douglas and William Shakespeare. Anyway, So we were enjoying the show. I remember who was on that show. An actress named Denise Alexander. She used to be a soap opera actress. I think she played on Days of Our Lives. My mom used to watch that in General Hospital when I was a kid. And Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. I think they're still going strong too. And they played a couple songs. And Robert Duvall, the actor, and guess what? He was like second or third on the bill. Robert Duvall was a great actor. And I really didn't know who he was, to be honest. Robert Duvall. I didn't know who confidence before, and I wanted to. So, but toward the end, like Douglas brought on this young, good-looking guy, in a blue suit and everything, good-looking. So he's talking to him, and I didn't know him either. And he says to Mike, yeah, he said, I just got done shooting a pilot for a comedy show, and we're hoping ABC picks it up. She shot the pilot in spring, and this was the summertime, so they were hoping that he was hoping that it was going to be picked up in the fall. So that's fine and all. So after the show was over, me and my family went out, and we were sort of in the courtyard of the TV studio, thinking about what we were going to do next. We had parked a few blocks away, and we were thinking maybe we'll walk down and see the Liberty Bell, because the KYW studios at the time weren't that far away from the Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. We thought, oh, it's a nice summer day, maybe we'll take a walk down there. So here we're in the courtyard, and this young guy, who was the last person interviewed by Mike Douglas on the show, was down the way a little bit. And he had a bunch of girls around, taking photos. This was way before cell phones. So this older guy comes up, and he says, hey, you want to meet Johnny? And I was like, Johnny. I'm thinking maybe he was John Lennon, somebody like that, And I said, yeah, sure. So this guy calls back and says, hey, Johnny, come on over here. I got a fan here for you. So here this young guy named Johnny comes walking over. And he walks over, and I shake hands with him. So it's nice to meet you. How you doing? Really friendly guy. I said, nice to meet you too. And I'm thinking, okay, I saw him on the TV show, but I really didn't know him. But I acted just to be nice. I acted like I was a big fan. Blah, blah. He said, do you want me to sign anything? I said, sure. So I didn't have, we came ill prepared. I didn't have a camera with me. We didn't have a piece of paper or anything. So I asked him to sign my little ticket stub. And Mike Douglas, I thought, well, that'll be a nice souvenir. Well, from the show, I'll keep it for whoever he is. So he signs the ticket stub. In fact, it was so small, he had to sign it going down. He had me for the right turn. And he wrote, best wishes, John Ritter. And he said, he was really funny. He said, I hope you can read my chicken scratch. That's a good joke there. I said, yeah. I read it. And we shook hands again. And he went back to the girls, taking pictures. So I put the ticket stub away for the music. And here, just as we were ready to cross the street, we go see to our car. John Ritter comes beside me. and he's got a jacket flung over his shoulder. It's summertime, it's hot. Philadelphia, typical Philadelphia breed in the summer. And he's smoking a cigarette, which was cool at the time, 1977 at the time. And he's hailing down the cab. And I'm just looking at our roadway, and I'm looking at him. Okay, no. And here comes a cab, jumps in the cab, shuts the door, away he goes in history. Now, I don't have to tell you who John Ritter is, right? The show he was taping, which he was promoting on Mike Douglas' show, turned out the Three's Company, one of the classic comedy shows of all time, with Suzanne Summers and Joyce DeWitt. It's just a funny show, and it was sort of hip at the time, I guess. And there was this young guy living with these two single girls, and at the time it was thought of as being sort of risque, although, I mean, it was on TV, there was no nudity, even though that language, it was just innuendo stuff, implied stuff. So, but John Ritter went on to be a superstar through Three's Company, and he made some movies, not very many, but he made Sling Blade, the last movie he made, which I love, which is, it turned out to be his last role, was Bad Santa, and he played the guy in charge of the mall where Santa was hanging at the Christmas time, and he was excellent. In fact, they dedicated the movie at the end to his memory. For John Ritter, he had a heart attack. He had a heart situation there. Everybody knew about it. And, he got sick on the show. Something about married daughter. Anyway, and I used to watch it because it was John Ritter, So, I was really sad to hear that he died. I mean, he died really young, too. He was only in his 50s, 52, 53. And, I was just sad because I remember meeting him and all the laughs he used to give me. I mean, I love Three's Company. I love this character. And Jack Tripper. And, Don Knotts once called John Ritter our greatest physical comedian on the planet. That comes from Don Knotts, who played Barney Fife. So that was pretty high praise to be John Ritter. And he was really funny. So what I was really happy about was that even though I didn't know who the hell he was, he turned out to be everything I would imagine he would be. Very nice and very funny in person. And so now, when I tell that story, it's in the book. When I tell that story, though, people look at me like, "You met Ritter? You met John Ritter?" Now, because he's become somewhat of an icon, in old TV. And I said, "Yeah, he was a pretty cool guy." Last guy I wanted to mention, there's more, but there are like 3 people who really wanted to mention. There's Tom Graham. Well, I've always been a music fan, from Bobby Rydell to the Beatles, and I had a lot of favorites over the years. I started listening to this guy in the late 80s, all of the 90s. I never really stopped listening to this. Just a brilliant songwriter, musician, singer, and that would be Richard Marx. And I just love his music, and I still love his music. And I met him for the first time in 98, probably. Not too many people knew him. Somehow I found him that he was going to be in QVC Studios in Westchester, one Sunday afternoon promoting his new album. And at the time, and I found out with a friend who was also in Richard Marx, and we went down to see him. And we stopped at the grocery store to buy him a box of grape cocktails. I remember that because we heard that he used to like to snack on grape cocktails. So we found some and we took some with us. Anyway, we went down to the QVC studio, unannounced. Of course, when we got to the front doors, guards and security, what do you want? And my friend who we went down with, she really thought ahead of time. We also brought a box of Dunkin' Donuts. So that was a way to bribe the guards, security, right? So we got down there and gave the guard, said, hey, help yourself. So we're just here hanging out, waiting to see Richard Marx. And they said, well, you know, you can't come in. Yeah, I'm hoping to. Yeah, we know. We'll hang out here. Is this where he's coming in? Well, I can't tell you that for sure. I'm giving the donut. Well, he might be. Give him another donut. Well, it's possible he will be. Now around 3 o'clock. So anyway, and it was raining. It was raining. So we brought umbrellas and we're there hanging out. We do stupid things sometimes, but hey, you know, that's life, right? Sometimes you gotta do stupid things to create memories. Anyway, so here around that time, this bus pulls up. I think it was like a purple bus, I remember. And out of the bus comes Richard Marx holding an umbrella, and another guy who played guitar. Two guys. And he walks up, says, hey, Richard, how you doing? He was very nice. Fine. How you guys doing? Said, yeah, we just hanging out here and meet you. Oh, it's great. And we had been waiting for him for about 3 hours. And he said, how long have you been waiting out here? About 3 hours. So they won't let you come inside. It's great. I said, nah, they told us we got to stay. He said, well, listen, I'll see you after I do this gig, all right? I'll come down and talk to you and see him. So he goes in with his guitar case and everything. So all of a sudden, it's scarred from his act and says, I'm on you. You know, Richard Marx said, bring him. So we got into the lobby. We're drying off in the lobby, and his guitarist, who I happen to know before that, Bruce Geich, came down and talked to us. We're hanging out, and then they went up and did the gig, and then afterwards, Richard came down, spent good 15 minutes with us, signing anything we wanted, talking to us, just talking about music and all kinds of stuff, you know. And it's just as nice as you can make it. And so that's how I met Richard Marx the first time. And I've met him maybe 8 to 10 times over the years since 1998. He's a great guy, and I just he's in my book too, because he's a very inspirational person. And in fact, we have tickets to see him again coming up in September. He's going to be up at the Bloomsburg Fair, running up there along with Jefferson Starship. How's that for a blast from the past? So yeah, I mean, he's been so cool. When I met him at Sellersville Theater, he took the time after the show to come out into the empty theater. When it was just me at that time. And we just rapped for about 10 minutes. Every single time I've, I've met him, and I've met him quite a few times now. He's been funny. I know one time we were in a group, we were getting ready to take a group photo. And right before the guy took the shot, Richard leans down and whispers in my ear and says, and who's going to take the shot? You probably, and we started laughing. He's just a really cool guy, very down to earth, very down, and very funny and nice, very caring, compassionate things. So those are my three. And maybe we'll talk about others down the road. I've had some really crazy experiences, especially in meeting celebrities over the years. Well, I just wanted to pop in and say hello. Thank Alicia Minerelli again for the excellent interview. And you guys get a chance to see things too. And again, if you want to be a guest on the show, whether it's like during the week, you have an inspirational story to share, that's great. We'll be inspire, hope. And or on Sundays, I have a sports show that in the morning, chat been on YouTube on the noontime. And I'm going to be doing that again this Sunday. And we may have a special guest on that show sometime soon. So maybe. And I promise we're definitely going to have guests from this part of Unbreakable Spirits too. Just have to arrange the time to meet and report. So thank you for watching. Thanks for following me on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter at Wheeling, no G, at Wheeling Greg. Or you can email me at jpsmith1 at verizon.net if you have any suggestions, comments, or want to be on the show. And if you would subscribe, that would be great. This is free. This is a free podcast. I don't believe in charging anything. I mean, I know I'm not doing anything, any special thing. So, I mean, to me, it's fun to do, and it keeps me busy, and hopefully it helps somebody out there as well. It's free. So, if you want to just get subscribed so that anytime a new episode comes out, then you can catch it. And the final thing is my new website should be going live any day, man. I saw it, it's beautiful. And there's going to be a page to read about my book, Unbreakable Spirit. If you want a signed copy, you can order one there. And information about my next book, which is being edited right now. It's a story about a haunted house in England. And finished it for a friend of mine who died before we could finish it. And we'll talk about that some other time. It's I think it's going to be a great story. And some other books that I'm thinking about writing. And then there's going to be a page where if you would like me to come out, either in person or via Zoom, and do a talk about being an unbreakable spirit, how to be an unbreakable spirit in your life, how to inspire others. Just you can love me, and also for book signings too. So, and the final page was going to be a blog or a daily blog where I can write something. I used to write a blog a couple of years ago before I started writing the book, and I want to break some of those articles over and start writing new stuff too. And all the links for this podcast, Unbreakable Spirits, you'll be able to catch up on old episodes and find out who's going to be on the show down the road. I think it's like that. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool website. The address is going to be, once it goes live, Gregory J. Smith, author, Now, the reason why I had to put the author, it sounds fancy schmancy, which is not me. But the reason why I had to put the author in was because there were so many Smiths out there. When we used to have phone books back in the day, there would be pages and pages and pages and pages of Smiths. It's like ridiculous, you know? But anyway, so I couldn't get there's so many out there. I had to add something, so we decided to put the author in there, and that was it. And final thing, if you happen to be up and listening, can't sleep at night, work overnight, listen for me on WIP Sports Radio. I usually get on maybe around 4 a.m. to talk to my friend Steve Trevelise, the great Steve Trevelise. And they've pushed him a little later now. He's on from 3 to 6 overnights, Friday into Saturday. And I've been talking to Steve for maybe 10 years now. I love him. He's a great pal. And he's a big Beatles fan too. And a big sports fan. So if I don't fall asleep, and if you're up, listen for me around 4 a.m. Okay? And I'll probably be ranting from the schools. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. If not before, I'll definitely see you on Sunday for the sports show. So be sure, before you put the Phillies on, tune in. And we'll talk about the Phillies then. I was disappointed yesterday when we lost. But it's a long season, and don't give up on the Phillies. I think they're going to be okay this year. But we'll talk more about them and the Eagles, as you can see, old school, and the Sixers, and maybe the Flyers, on Sunday around noon. So you guys take care. I'll catch you soon. Bye.